All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be, diving into something that I think a lot of folks are thinking about these days, and that's building multiple streams of income, what's often called passive income. You shared some really fascinating material on this, and our mission today is to really unpack what's possible for you in 2025. We're not chasing get-rich-quick schemes here.
Right.
We're looking for actionable strategies that you can actually implement.
Yeah, and the material that you sent over, it makes a really crucial point right away. It kind of dispels this myth, this idea that income can be completely passive,
Right.
like with absolutely no effort.
Right.
So what we're really going to explore are systems that over time become less demanding of your time and attention, but that still generate revenue. This distinction is really key, I think, for you, the learner, so you can approach this with the right expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our source clearly defines passive income as money earned with minimal ongoing effort. So after the initial work is done, it's about investing in assets or creating systems that then work for you. And I thought the breakdown into the three core categories was really insightful.
Yeah.
First, there's build once, sell many times, right? Think, digital products, online courses, creating content. This one really resonated with me, especially knowing, your interest in continuous learning and potentially sharing your own knowledge at some point.
Yeah, what I find fascinating about that category, that build once, sell many times,
Yeah.
is that it's a leverage play.
Yeah.
You're investing the time and effort once to create something of value, and then, at least in theory, you can sell it an unlimited number of times.
Right. So
you don't have to replicate that creation process
right.
for every sale.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Then we have investment income, which is kind of, I guess, a more traditional path, right? This is, your money working for you through things like dividend paying stocks and bonds. A solid strategy to consider for building wealth over the long haul.
Yeah, this is where I think the magic of compounding really comes into play.
Right.
Where over time, the returns that you're generating from your investments can then generate further returns.
Yeah.
And it creates that snowball effect, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a fundamental principle of a lot of long-term financial strategies.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And the third category, which I thought was particularly interesting, was business systems. And these are businesses that are structured to operate without your constant direct involvement. So, for instance, like an e-commerce store,
Right.
where, things like shipping and fulfillment are handled by others. This speaks to the idea of scaling your efforts and leveraging the time and resources of others.
Yeah, the mindset shift here is to design a framework,
Right.
A business framework,
Yeah.
and then ideally to be able to step away from the day-to-day operations.
Mm.
It often requires a slightly different skill set than just being really good at whatever the core business is.
Right.
It's more about delegation and optimizing processes.
Absolutely, yeah. But here's a non-negotiable truth that the source really emphasizes. It's so important that we drill down on it. Passive absolutely does not mean no work. Every single one of these income streams is going to require some upfront investment, whether that's your time, your money, or more often than not, a combination of both. Plus, there's always going to be some level of ongoing maintenance and optimization to keep things running smoothly and profitably. So, the real goal here is to gradually increase your hourly return on investment as these systems become more efficient and require less of your, direct involvement.
That is a really crucial nuance. It's about transitioning from that mindset of directly trading time for money, the 9-to-5 model, towards building or acquiring assets that can generate income for you over the long term. And it's that upfront investment of time, money, and energy that really paves the way for that eventual reduction in your active involvement.
So for our deep dive today, we're going to focus on some of the 7 specific strategies that are highlighted in this material. We're going to dig into the practical aspects of each and explore what makes them potentially effective in 2025, particularly for someone like you who is, eager to be well-informed and grasp that bigger picture. So let's jump right in. The first one that we're going to be talking about is digital products and online courses. I was reading through this, and the potential here with digital just seems incredible, doesn't it? I mean, there's zero reproduction costs, no shipping headaches, automated delivery, massive scalability, and the potential for really strong profit margins.
Yeah, and what I find really fascinating about digital products is almost like the democratization of expertise.
Right.
If you have knowledge or you have a skill that you've developed, the internet provides you with this global marketplace to share it with people.
Yeah.
And as you said, the low overhead compared to physical products,
Yeah.
that's a huge advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, when you look at, kind of what's going on in 2025, the popular formats are really gaining some momentum. We've got online courses. The global e-learning market is, it's projected to be absolutely massive, right?
Yeah.
You've got ebooks, digital guides, which I think still hold a lot of value, especially in these kind of niche areas, maybe personal development or, very specific, how-to information.
Right.
I also thought the point about templates and digital tools was really interesting. Things like spreadsheet templates or design assets that can help people be more efficient in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then, you can't forget membership sites with that recurring income. That seems like a really attractive model, right, for building that more stable, predictable income base.
That recurring revenue element of the membership sites is really, really a key advantage. It gives you predictability. And it's often considered, more valuable than just one-time sales.
Yeah.
Because you're building a consistent income stream, and you're often building a community around your content or your offerings.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to actually getting started, the source provides some really actionable steps. First, you got to identify your expertise.
Right.
So what do you know that other people would be willing to pay to learn or, pay to access?
Right.
Then, and this is so crucial, you've got to validate your idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't just create something and then hope that an audience magically appears.
Right.
Doing keyword research to see what people are searching for online, analyzing what your competitors are doing, and even getting direct feedback from your potential audience. These are all vital steps.
Yeah, that validation phase is so frequently overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's where a lot of people, unfortunately, waste considerable time and resources.
Yeah.
Really understanding if there is actual demand for what you intend to create before you invest, significant effort in developing the course or the product or whatever it might be is absolutely paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, it's about creating that minimum viable product. You don't have to, go all out and create, this, super, super comprehensive thing right from the start. You can kind of dip your toe in the water, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, test the waters, get feedback. Then, setting up your sales system, deciding whether you want to use existing platforms like Teachable or Gumroad or even hosting it yourself. And then, of course, you need a marketing strategy, right? How is your target audience going to find this amazing product that you've created?
Right.
Content marketing, building an email list, forming partnerships, maybe even considering targeted advertising. There's all sorts of possibilities there.
Yeah, that minimum viable product approach is, I think, so brilliant for mitigating risk. You're getting something out there quickly, right?
Right.
You're gathering real-world feedback from actual users, and then you can iterate and improve it based on actual usage patterns rather than just your initial assumptions. And then, as you mentioned, the marketing strategy, now it's non-negotiable. You can have the best product in the pool, but if nobody knows about it,
it's not going to do anything for you.
It's not going to generate any income.
Absolutely. And the source even gives us some realistic numbers to consider. So, course creation can take anywhere from, say, 40 to 120 hours. Typical pricing might fall somewhere between, say, $97 and $997. And, an average conversion rate, meaning how many people go from, being interested to actually buying, might be around 2 to 5%.
Yeah.
Realistically, you might see somewhere between $500, $5,000 per month in your first year, but that's often after 6 to 12 months of consistent effort.
Yeah.
So this isn't a, overnight thing.
Yeah.
But the big emphasis here is on providing genuine value to your audience.
Those figures really help to ground expectations. Yep. They highlight that, while the potential for significant income certainly exists, it does require, substantial investment of both time and effort. And that income doesn't typically materialize overnight. I think the crucial element for long-term success in this digital product space is really that focus on delivering real value to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to strategy number 2, which is dividend investing. This feels like, a more traditional maybe a little bit less time-intensive approach once it's set up. It's basically about buying shares in companies that regularly distribute a portion of their profits to their shareholders. So you're earning income regardless of any short-term stock price fluctuations.
Right.
And the benefit of dividend reinvestment can really compound your returns over time with minimal ongoing management.
Yeah, I think what makes dividend investing particularly appealing is its relative simplicity.
Right.
Once you kind of grasp the fundamental principles, it's about identifying those well-established companies, companies that are profitable and that have a consistent track record of returning value to their shareholders through regular dividend payments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the source mentions a few, key investment vehicles here. We've got individual dividend stocks, so that's, shares in specific, established companies that are known for their dividends.
Right.
Then there are dividend ETFs or exchange-traded funds. Those hold a basket of dividend-paying stocks, so, instant diversification.
Yeah.
And then you've got REITs, real estate investment trusts, which in simple terms, are companies that own and often operate income-producing real estate, and they distribute a significant portion of their profits as dividends as well.
Yeah, each of those has its own distinct risk and reward profile, right?
Right.
Individual stocks offer that potential for higher yields, but also carry more individual company-specific risk.
Sure.
ETFs provide that valuable diversification, which can help to mitigate risk.
Right.
And then REITs can offer attractive yields, but can be a little more sensitive to changes in interest rates and the overall real estate market.
Yeah. So how does one actually get started with dividend investing? I mean, it sounds maybe a little complicated to someone who's never done it before.
Yeah.
So the source advises setting up, first and foremost, a low-fee brokerage account, figuring out what your investment budget is. You can start with, relatively small amounts.
Yeah.
It can grow over time. And then conducting thorough research.
Absolutely.
You want to look at the dividend yield, and I think they mentioned a sustainable range is somewhere between 2 to 6%.
Yeah.
Looking at the growth rate of that dividend payout historically, the company's payout ratio, which is basically the percentage of their earnings that they're distributing as dividends, and of course, the overall financial health of the company.
Right.
Diversification across different companies and sectors is absolutely key.
Yeah.
And it also sounds like enrolling in dividend reinvestment plans, or DRPs, is a really smart strategy because that basically automatically uses your dividends to purchase more shares.
Absolutely. Yeah. That research phase is really critical.
Yeah.
You're essentially looking for companies that have a consistent history of profitability and a demonstrable commitment to returning value to their shareholders.
Right.
That payout ratio that you mentioned is a really important indicator of dividend sustainability.
Right.
A very high payout ratio might seem attractive on the surface, but it could also suggest that the company isn't reinvesting enough in its future growth, which could potentially put those future dividend payments at risk. And then you're absolutely right. The power of reinvesting those dividends over the long term, it can't be overstated. It's a fundamental driver of compound growth in your portfolio.
Yeah, it's really incredible how that works, over time. And so in terms of numbers, what are we actually looking at here? The source mentions that the average dividend yield for quality companies in 2025 might be somewhere around 2 to 4%. To generate, just a modest, say, $100 per month in dividend income, you might need to invest somewhere in the range of $30,000 to $60,000. And the doubling time for your investment with dividend reinvestment could be roughly 10 to 12 years at a combined annual return of 6 to 7%. And the source also points out, which I thought was really interesting, that dividends are often taxed at a more favorable rate compared to regular income.
Yeah, it's important to keep in mind that while the ongoing management of dividend investing is relatively minimal, the initial work does involve careful research and strategically building your portfolio. And while dividend income generally does enjoy more favorable tax treatment, the specifics can vary, depending on your location and the type of investment account that you're using. But yes, once your portfolio is kind of thoughtfully constructed, it really can generate income with very little active management required.
Yeah, so it does sound like this is, a truly passive income stream
Right.
once you, kind of get that portfolio established.
Right, yeah.
All right, let's move on to strategy number 3, which is content creation and monetization.
Yeah.
This feels like it's become so much more accessible in recent years,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Practically anyone with some knowledge or even just, a passion can potentially build an audience.
Right.
And while, the initial effort can be significant, it really does have the potential to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. That barrier to entry for content creation has been significantly lowered, thanks to these user-friendly platforms and tools that are readily available.
Right.
And it's really empowered individuals to share their expertise and passions with a global audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So what makes this so powerful? We've got relatively low startup costs, right? Often it's just your time and whatever equipment you already have.
Yeah.
You've got a multitude of ways to eventually monetize your content.
Right.
The ability to build that direct connection with your audience.
Yeah.
The opportunity to repurpose your content across different platforms.
Right.
You don't have to create, a brand new piece of content for every platform you're on. And of course, there's that exciting potential for content to go viral and dramatically expand your audience.
Yeah, that direct connection that you
Yeah.
build with your audience, it's incredibly valuable.
Right.
It fosters trust and loyalty, which are really essential for any long-term success with any of the monetization strategies.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Repurposing your content across different platforms is a smart and efficient way to maximize that initial effort and also to reach different segments of your audience.
Right.
Some people might prefer to consume their content via video, while others might prefer to read it in an article.
Okay. Right.
It's about understanding those nuances.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key platforms to consider in 2025, we still got YouTube, obviously, the dominant force in video. You've got blogging and niche websites, which I was really surprised to see, are still very effective for reaching those specific audiences. Podcasting, with its highly engaged listener base. And then, of course, all the social media platforms.
Right.
Each offering, its own creator funds and partnership opportunities.
Yeah, each platform really does have its own unique strengths and ideal content formats.
Right.
YouTube excels with that visual and kind of more in-depth content, right?
Yeah.
Blogs are fantastic for searchable informational content.
Right.
Podcasts build more of an intimate connection through that audio.
Right.
And then social media thrives on that short form, highly engaging updates and content.
Right.
So really understanding those nuances of each platform is key to selecting the right one, or maybe the right combination, for your specific content and your target audience.
Absolutely, yeah. So if someone is considering this, the source suggests first, choosing your primary platform based on, your strengths and where your audience spends their time. If you're trying to reach, teenagers, you're probably not going to be doing a ton of blogging. Right? You're going to be on TikTok or whatever the latest, greatest platform is.
Right, yeah.
Then you need to develop a solid content strategy. What value are you offering? What's your publishing schedule going to look like? Are you going to focus on trending topics or evergreen content that will stay relevant for a longer period of time? And then crucially, building that substantial library of content. We want to aim for high quality, of course, but also recognizing that consistency, and quantity can play a significant role in discoverability. And then comes the actual, monetization, implementing monetization, whether that's through running ads, incorporating affiliate marketing, securing sponsorships, or creating premium content. And then finally, you have to analyze your content's performance and optimize, what's working, what's not.
Yeah, that emphasis on having a well-defined content strategy, it really can't be overstated. You need that clear understanding of who your target audience is,
Right.
what specific value you're providing to them, and how your content's going to stand out, right? Because there's so much information available online.
Oh, yeah.
And then that analysis and optimization phase, it's an ongoing process.
Right.
It's really about constantly learning what resonates with your audience and refining your content and your promotion strategies accordingly.
Yeah, it's always evolving, right? I mean, things change so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the source throws out some key metrics for us to consider. YouTube RPM. And, for those who are unfamiliar, RPM stands for revenue per mil. It's basically revenue per 1,000 views, which is a common metric for ad-based monetization, and it can range anywhere from, say, $2 to $12. Blog ad revenue might be somewhere in the ballpark of $10 to $30 per thousand views. The time it takes to create a single piece of content, that varies widely. Could be 2 hours, could be 10 hours.
Right.
And then it might take, a significant period of time, maybe even 12 to 24 months of consistent effort to really start seeing some substantial income.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of that evergreen content, that material that stays relevant. It continues to attract views and generate income over time.
Yeah, those timelines are so important for managing expectations.
Right.
Really understanding that building a significant audience and a sustainable income stream through content creation is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires patience and consistent effort. And focusing on creating that evergreen content is really a smart long-term strategy for building a more reliable and, yes, more passive income source within this model.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to strategy number 4, which feels like a real classic for, building wealth, and that's rental properties and real estate.
Yeah.
The source highlights, the potential for reliable income, the opportunity for the property to appreciate in value over time,
Right.
some significant tax advantages, the ability to leverage borrowed funds, and it even acts as a hedge against inflation.
Yeah.
And apparently, thanks to technology, it's more accessible to a wider range of people now than ever before.
Real estate has really been a cornerstone of wealth creation for a long time.
Right.
The tangible nature of that asset,
Mhm.
the fact that you can touch it, you can see it, combined with its potential for both generating income and appreciating in value over time,
Yeah.
makes it a really attractive investment for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
you're right, the rise of online platforms and sophisticated property management tools has definitely streamlined that process for investors.
Yeah, it really has. So, there's a few different, I guess, investment avenues here. The source mentions traditional rentals. So you buy a property, rent it out to tenants on a longer term basis.
Right.
Short-term rentals, which, like Airbnb and VRBO and all those, those platforms have really made that more accessible.
Yeah.
Potentially you can generate higher income, but it might involve a bit more active management.
Yeah.
And then real estate crowdfunding, which allows you to invest in larger real estate projects with, potentially a lower initial capital outlay.
Right.
And then, the concept of house hacking, which I found really interesting, where you essentially live in one part of a multi-unit property
Right.
and rent out the other units. So you're, essentially living for free
Yeah.
while building equity and generating income.
Yeah, each of those options really caters to different levels of available capital, risk tolerance, and the amount of time that you're willing to dedicate to management.
Right.
Short-term rentals, for example, can be quite lucrative,
Yeah.
but often they do necessitate a more hands-on management approach
Yeah. Sure.
or the expense of hiring a property management service.
Right.
Real estate crowdfunding offers a way to diversify into those real estate investments without the direct responsibilities of property ownership. And then house hacking it's a really clever strategy to significantly reduce your own housing expenses while simultaneously building equity and generating that rental income.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. So if someone wants to get started with rental properties, what are the kind of the key things they need to keep in mind?
Mm-hmm.
The source really emphasizes, that thorough financial preparation.
Yeah.
Having that down payment saved up, making sure your credit score is in good shape, having some reserves for unexpected expenses, and then, of course, comprehensive market research.
Yeah.
Looking at those areas that have growth potential, analyzing the relationship between, property prices and rental rates, understanding the local regulations.
Right.
And then, it's all about carefully selecting that right property, right? Focusing on, its potential for generating that positive cash flow and its overall condition. And then finally, figuring out what your management strategy is going to be. Are you going to manage the property yourself or hire a professional property manager?
Right.
And then also thinking about, how you might scale your portfolio over time through refinancing and reinvestment.
Yeah, that due diligence process is absolutely critical.
Right.
You're dealing with a significant and often illiquid asset, so that thorough research and meticulous planning is essential to minimize the risk of costly mistakes.
Right.
And that decision of whether to self-manage or hire a property manager often boils down to a trade-off between the cost of professional management versus the amount of time and effort that you're willing to invest yourself.
Yeah, it makes sense. So with rental properties, what kind of numbers are we typically looking at? The source mentions that the average cash-on-cash return might be somewhere in the range of 6 to 12% annually.
Yeah.
Property management fees can typically range from 8 to 12% of the monthly rent.
Right.
You want to budget around 5% of the property's value annually for, ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
Maybe an 8% allowance for potential vacancies.
Right.
Things happen. And then they suggest that a realistic timeline for purchasing your first investment property might be somewhere between 3 to 6 months. And if you are self-managing, you might expect to spend anywhere from 2 to 5 hours per month per unit.
Yeah, those figures provide a good benchmark for evaluating the potential returns from rental property investments.
Right.
It's absolutely crucial to factor in all those associated expenses, the property management fees, the ongoing maintenance, the potential vacancies, to really get an accurate picture of your net cash flow.
Right.
And you're right, while real estate investing does require significant upfront capital and some level of ongoing management, utilizing a competent property manager can definitely significantly reduce that time commitment involved on your part.
Yeah, it sounds like that's really key to making it a more truly passive income stream.
Right.
All right, let's move on to strategy number 5, which is affiliate marketing. This is all about promoting products or services that are offered by other companies and earning a commission for any sales that are generated through your unique referral links.
Yeah.
It sounds like in 2025, the emphasis is really shifting towards building genuine authenticity and trust with your audience.
That is a really key evolution in the world of affiliate marketing.
Right.
The days of just blasting out generic affiliate links are largely over.
Right.
Today, true success in affiliate marketing really hinges on building those genuine relationships with your audience, recommending products or services that you truly believe in and that provide real value to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the advantages of affiliate marketing? Well, first and foremost, you don't have to create your own products.
Right.
You don't have to manage any inventory.
Yeah.
The commission rates can be quite diverse and sometimes very generous.
Yeah.
It integrates really well with content you're already creating.
Yeah.
It works across various platforms. And some affiliate programs even offer recurring commissions for subscription-based products. So that's really nice. It's kind of like that set it and forget it type of thing.
Yeah, that lack of product creation and inventory management, I think, is a huge benefit.
Right.
It significantly lowers the barrier to entry.
Right.
And it reduces that overall operational complexity. And the ability to kind of naturally integrate affiliate marketing into your existing content. It's also incredibly powerful.
Right.
It allows you to monetize your current efforts without having to create entirely new offerings.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the source mentions a few effective approaches for affiliate marketing.
Okay.
One is creating those content-based reviews or comparison articles
Yeah.
that can really help your audience make informed decisions.
Absolutely.
Leveraging email marketing, sending those direct personalized recommendations to your subscriber list. Building resource pages on your website that offer long-term value by recommending, helpful tools and services. And even, curating coupon or deal websites that attract, those bargain-seeking audiences.
Yeah, content-based affiliate marketing, when it's executed well, I think provides genuine value to the audience.
Right.
Well-researched reviews, balanced comparisons, they empower people to make confident purchasing decisions.
Right.
Email marketing allows for more personalized and targeted recommendations based on their specific interests.
Right.
And then those resource pages become really valuable assets over time, consistently driving traffic and affiliate revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking about getting started with affiliate marketing, there's a few crucial steps involved. First, you want to choose a niche that has commercial viability. Right. You don't want to be promoting, something that nobody is buying. Then carefully selecting those affiliate programs, right? You can either join those affiliate networks like Amazon Associates or CJ Affiliate, or you can work directly with individual companies. And then, of course, you need to build that online platform, whether that's a website, a strong social media presence, or a targeted email list.
Yeah.
And absolutely focus on building that trust.
Absolutely. Yeah. That focus on building your platform and establishing trust with your audience cannot be overstated.
Right.
In today's digital environment, audiences are increasingly discerning.
Right.
that can easily recognize inauthentic or overly promotional content.
Right.
So prioritizing the delivery of genuine value, building those authentic connections, is absolutely crucial for long-term success.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you've got to develop that content strategy that includes, helpful best of lists or in-depth tutorials or problem-solving guides. And then, of course, monitoring and optimizing your performance, right?
Yeah.
Tracking which links are converting, analyzing your results, and, just kind of tweaking things as you go along.
Right, yeah. Constantly iterating and